Hope everyone's doing good today. We'll just do a quick video. This is the piece that slides into the grill opening of our 55 Pontiac. So we went ahead, cleaned that up. There's a bunch of little slices and holes in here for trim. That's the back. What we did is we welded them shut from the top side, then we went in the back, and our welds on the back got a little high because we turned it down and just filled the, there was like a little line that would still be there, and we don't want that to fill up with moisture, so we welded them shut. The back side will never be seen, so we're happy with the way it is. We'll probably just give it a shot undercoating on the back side to protect it. And we got this piece here that sits right in that little space in the back, the tail pan, I guess you'd call it. We got this piece here that goes on the cowl. So in our last video I said we'll just touch up a few spots, sand them out, and that's what we were going to do. But I thought, you know, I did put the CRE 321 on as a primer, and I put it on heavy-ish, and I figured it'd be enough to block. So instead of just doing those few spots, like this is where that spot on the trunk was, now it's completely on. So basically what I did is I blocked the whole car down with a couple Durablocks. We used 350 followed by 400. So the 400 just to cut down anything rough or hard, and then 400. So the whole car has been reblocked in 400 from head to toe. And you can see we had some little breakthroughs and, you know, little things show through, and we didn't know if it was the under primer or filler or whatever. So we just hit those with a little bit of sealer, and we're golden. So we're going to be able to paint this now, and we went past our 4-day threshold by a day, so it didn't matter because we ended up sanding the whole thing anyway. Fresh tape, all that kind of thing. You don't want anything coming off. And we still got to retape all this, but I ran out of the wide tape, so we'll rip that out and tape it up again later around the headlights. And I mean, this is why. Well, most of it stays on. We hit that with a little bit of air blowing the dust, and some of it blew off. So even if all you do is bury it in tape, as long as it can't move, we'll probably just pull one piece of tape off, leave the rest there, and then retape it, but we'll tape heavy and go over it. That's what I did on the back. We did that around the windows too, and then we just gave them a wipe off, make sure they were all clean. This piece though is kind of messy to begin with, and it's kind of stuffed in there. So I think we're simply gonna just redo this. It'll be faster. I wasn't happy with how this was. Now we may not tape it the same way. We may drop paper up over the engine bay and bury the engine and the radiator, and the reason why, if our black overspray gets up in there, we might kind of blend that into the walls, because it's all even all in the front end here. We won't have to tape that because that can all be painted. We'll just tape off the radiator and wrap the engine, so we can go on those edges, and whatever overspray, it's just going to be satin black melting into satin black. So I think we'll be good there. We're not worried about the bottom of the hood. You could always touch it up later. We're just going to catch this edge here, close the hood, paint the car. You get the idea. So the nice thing about giving it the final block, turned out there was very shallow but a lot of waves in this door, and this is the door that we didn't really do any work on because it was nice. But you can see all them little marks here and there. But we actually had to block that quite a bit more than I thought to make it as straight as the quarters. So I figured we might as well just keep going then. The fenders were the worst. I knew they'd be lumpy, but we took a chance, and I don't think they're going to be all that bad. I think they're going to be half decent, so we're pretty pleased with that. It feels pretty good. That's as straight as we're going to get it. The owner wasn't too worried about the fenders. He thought they looked good enough. Because this is a car that was never really great. It was just kind of good enough. So this is probably better than this car has been in 60 years. So that's pretty cool. But that's what we got going on. And I'd recommend, especially any DIY guys or whatever, like, assuming you have the time and you realize you got an opportunity to block, and that's kind of what happened. There was this primer went on smooth enough that I could have painted over it. There was a little bit of feel, but like it was less than factory peel on a paint job. It was so minor. We could have went over it, but I started thinking, because we're going to do the satin black, I want to get it as silky looking as possible, like as flat as possible. Now usually with that stuff, if I take an OEM vehicle and I put stripes on it, what happens is, it's usually what happens with paint. Let's go with that. Usually what happens with most paints, if you have a little bit of bumpiness or orange peel, every time you put another layer on, you accent it a little bit more. Sometimes you just keep building the peel. But what happens with that stuff, when you put it on, it goes on really bumpy to begin with, but it flattens out as it dries, and often it looks flatter than the paint you've put it on. And it's the only product I've ever seen that does that. But at any rate, the flatter you want to get something, the flatter the base has to be. I say go to the fundamental rules. That's one of the main ones. So we went ahead and 400 blocked this whole car. Now we started with a bit of wet sand and whatnot, but it was faster to just go in with the blocks and do it dry. I didn't feel like messing around. And then we just cleaned everything anyway. You know, blew out the booth really good. We'll be fine that way. The main thing is that the car is super duper clean. So I've gone over it 3 times this morning. We washed it really well. Basically, we just went right to town with the wax and grease remover. Then I went around, touched up a few little spots with primer. And this stuff you can shoot right over, so we're happy with that. So basically this car is about as ready as it's going to be. Now I ran out of tape. That'll be coming over tonight. So I'll go ahead and we'll rewrap this in the lights, and we'll wake up tomorrow morning, we'll shoot this car satin black. Hope for the best. I think it's going to be a good looking car. Nice little hot rod. Thanks for watching. Cheers.